What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Super Gamer Boys. I'm your host and captain and dad, Garrett Morlang, and here in the virtual studio with me is the one, the only, JJ Purdom.
Hey, what's happening, Garrett? It's good to see you this week. It's good to see all of you Super Gamer Boy fans and Super Gamer Man fans. I don't actually see anybody right now, but it's good for you guys to hear me, and you can see me if you're watching it via YouTube.
Exactly. You can see us, you can hear us, and it's good to be seen and heard. It feels real good to be seen and heard, huh? How you doing, man?
Yeah, I normally don't feel very seen or heard, so that's why I just talk a little louder. You know what? I'm feeling a little bit full, a little pudgy from a lot of pumpkin pie and a lot of eating over the holiday. And quite the 4-day excursion away from general pest control. I will tell myself on Wednesday, I had a situation. So I shared with you recently on the show that I urinated in a cup with my family in the car.
Yeah,
I'm the wiser because that's the kind of ninja that I am. So I've taken the peeing into a cup to a whole new level. So here's the deal. COVID is a bear, man. It's so hard to find restrooms in this environment right now. In order to traverse the crazy traffic, I got to get over to the McDonald's in order to use the bathroom. Oh, man, you have to be a customer because they lock them, believing everyone to be homeless people. So I just started peeing in cups, man. And I feel like I got it down to a science. I'm like, I'm pulling over right here. I'm peeing in a cup and I'm just going to dump it out at the next stop. I don't know if that's illegal or not, but I'm doing it. I'm full on. Hopefully
it's only
nobody
illegal if you get caught, right?
That's always been my motto. That's actually, I was thinking about having that tattooed on my lower back. So unfortunately, I had one of those moments where I peed into a Starbucks venti, a large coffee cup. That's large in Italian, just so you know. And so I peed into this cup and I set it on the seat next to me as I'm driving down the road. I'm going to dump it out in a minute. And I got on the phone. A friend of mine called and starts talking to me. And so I'm on the phone, just kind of chit-chatting, doing what I do, gesticulating a little bit too much on a phone call where people can't see me, still using my hands to talk. And at some point...
No.
Yeah, you know what's coming, right?
I know.
At some point, I did one of these numbers where I threw my hand out, and then all of a sudden I hear... And I'm like, what the heck is that?
No.
And I look over and realize I have forgotten this extremely tall cup of urine on the seat in my work van. And I soaked the seat with piss. And
I'm never riding in your van again. I don't care how long it is. If you get
how many times I clean it.
Don't care. Never going in your van ever again.
So I was
ever again
crying. I was crying / laughing entire time, and the friend on the phone was like, "Are you crying?" I was laughing, but it was so high pitched that it sounded like tears because I just couldn't believe I had just done that. And I thought to myself, I've got to share that because my hope is that it humanizes me, because I know all of you plebeians think of me as more than human. You know what I mean? I get it. Everybody's like, JJ is like, more than a man. You know what I mean? So I just want you guys to know. That's what we were all thinking.
Yeah.
I pee in cups too, guys. And sometimes a little bit of pee is going to get spilled through the course of this wacky life. So, yeah. Open up the bathrooms, COVID. Open them up.
Open them up, please, for the love of JJ's van.
Please. Like, I'm going to tell you, that was days ago. I've cleaned it already. And I smell piss in there today, and I don't know if that's old piss. I don't know if that's
that's what I was going to
piss.
say. I was like, your van smelled like piss even before that, so I can't imagine what it smells like now.
I have bladder issues
with actual piss now.
So that's a fun way to start off. See, what's different between you and I is I tell those stories, man. I let it fly, and then you share with me some of those kind of like you pissing yourself kind of stories. And I never share those things about like the time when you came to work and you accidentally urinated yourself. I always hold that back, but I feel like we should be saying those things so the audience at home knows that you too, Garrett, are human.
Well, as soon as it happens to me, I'll share it on air. How about that? When it happens for real. When it happens for real.
Yeah, no, of course. Wink, wink. Sure.
Is there something in your eye? Are you all right? I can stop the recording real quick. Oh, okay.
No, please keep. If you could just roll tape, just keep going. Roll the punches.
Oh man. So it's been a couple of weeks since our last episode. This is the first time we're doing the whole takey breaky thing. And so far it hasn't gone as I planned. I was all excited. I got that new computer. I'm like, heck yeah, that off week, I'm streaming. I might even stream like 2 or 3 times that week. I'm feeling it. Well, not last week, obviously, because that was Thanksgiving. The week before, that week we didn't have an episode, obviously, for all you people, who listen to our content would know. I was planning I did that test stream on a Wednesday night. Worked flawlessly. New computer, flying through games, flying through the stream. I didn't have any drop frames. Like, it was fantastic. I was loving life. I was like, okay, this purchase was worth it. This was a great investment for the podcast, for work, for everything. Thursday morning, I woke up, that fateful Thursday morning, and nothing happened when I pressed the power button on my computer. And yeah, a lot of you guys have already heard it. I talked about it on social media. I did post about it. I did a Patreon update because I felt really bad. That was the biggest thing. I kept sharing, not because of how I'm that kind of guy who just wants to tell everyone the story. It's because I felt so horrible that I made all these promises and I was stoked. I was so excited to interact with you guys, all the listeners, play games, talk to you in chat, all that stuff. And then to wake up Thursday and all my dreams were just lit on fire. I'm like, dang it. So yeah, at this point, if you are curious on an update, the company I bought my PC from, they have received it back, but they have not started any repairs, which I'm kind of frustrated about because they've had it for over a week and have done nothing with it. So I'm about ready tomorrow. I'll probably give them a call and be like, hey, can you get on that? I have work to do on that, important things that need to get done. But yeah, so
next time, I hope that next time you listen to me, because I realize it's a genre, but Japanese tickle porn has a lot of really, really negative viruses and stuff that ends up. You're not the first person I know that peruses those types of sites and then has the crash like you did. I'm sorry, man. I know it's painful, but stay off of those sites.
That's why I have an antivirus, though. I pay money to keep those viruses off my computer.
Apparently, you don't pay enough. Apparently, you do not pay enough.
I need to buy the platinum package for Norton's antivirus, apparently. So yeah, that was kind of the start of my my week a couple weeks ago. I'm like, dang it, this sucks. But honestly, it also was super nice this past week with Thanksgiving and having family up, to just be able to focus on that and not be stressing either about when am I going to stream? Because that's the other thing, is when family's over, I feel weird. Okay, I'm going to go in this room and disappear for a few hours. See ya. So maybe it's for the better because I could just focus on being with family and, being thankful and not just playing video games. So yeah. It's both. It's positive and a negative there. It's a mixed bag with that situation.
I heard a vicious rumor that you actually cooked all of the food and that somebody got salmonella poisoning. Go ahead and elaborate on that.
Half of that is true.
Who had salmonella?
Yeah. No, I did in fact cook all of Thanksgiving dinner, and I'm pretty dang proud of it. I went into it not knowing how to do any of it, and I'm like, well, it needs to be done, because Trudy was not really excited to do it, and my in-laws were coming in from out of town. I didn't expect them to come here and cook us dinner, so I'm like, I guess I gotta figure it out. Let me tell you, the trickiest thing is it all had to be gluten-free, dairy-free, sugar-free, all this stuff free, because Trudy has a bunch of food allergies. My son has a bunch of food allergies. My mother-in-law has a bunch of food allergies. She's even stricter than, she's it's insane what she pretty much can't eat anything. Everything I made, though, I was able to make it all within the dietary restrictions. And let me tell you, it tasted freaking awesome. I killed it. I'm not one to toot my own horn, but man, I freaking nailed it last week. I was super stoked. We had it for 3 or 4 days straight, every meal. It was just lunch, dinner, leftovers. And let me tell you, I never got sick of it. Now it's all gone already. I really want some more. I'm like, do I cook another Thanksgiving dinner just so I can have that again? Man, hey, turkey was good.
Turkeys are on sale, man.
There we go. There we go. I made an apple pie. I made a gluten-free crust from scratch. Never done that before. And then,
nice.
Yeah, the apple pie filling, it was all like sugar-free and all this stuff. And dang, it tasted almost indistinguishable from the real thing. I'm sure if I had them side by side, you'd tell a difference. But in the moment, I took a bite and I'm like, oh no, like I want another slice. Like it was good. So yeah, I'm pretty proud of myself. So if anyone's looking for any cool, tasty, healthy recipes, hit me up. I got them.
So my in-laws came down with COVID-19 and they're fine. They've just recently gotten better. But we decided for Thanksgiving to just do my family. So it was just the 5 of us. And then Brent Fox, the guy who lives with us. We had just the 6 of us and I cooked. And I got to tell you, I kind of became a little bit of a Gordon Ramsay. And what I mean by that is I spoke in a British accent and cursed at everybody. It was amazing. So no, I cooked a ham. I made deviled eggs. And then I was getting requested from everybody like, why did you make deviled eggs? Nobody likes deviled eggs here. And I said, yeah, dude, it's for me.
I love deviled eggs so much.
I love them. They're amazing.
So good.
And then I also toasted some walnuts and made like a fruit salad with these toasted walnuts that I toasted in the oven and seasoned with like pumpkin pie spice and sea salt. Okay. And yeah, it just everything worked out really, really well. I made a green bean casserole. Everybody makes green beans with like bacon in it and stuff. I made green beans. They were Italian green beans, so they're a little wider and shorter. And then fried up a bunch of bacon, mixed it. Exactly. They're exactly like me. Exactly. And then I put a bunch of cheese over it because cheese makes everything better and baked that in the oven. And that was actually the hit of the whole thing. Like everybody loved the green beans. So I was kind of happy because I'm like, green beans suck. But what if I put cheese on it?
And then cheese on anything, it's good.
Absolutely.
Oh man, that's awesome! Wow, look at us. Should we do a cooking show? Is this the start of a super gamer cooking show?
I don't know. When you said homemade crust on that, Graham, I got kind of excited. I'm like, that's like the second time this week you, Garrett Morling, had made my nipples hard. I don't know how that works, but
when was the last time during the Last of Us recording the other night? Or?
Yeah.
Okay.
So peek behind the curtain. We just recorded our special. Super Gamer Boys book club, the Game Vault, whatever you want to call it, with Zetch Keenan.
Yeah, whatever it's called.
Yeah, whatever it's called. We just recorded that last night, and so for you Patreon supporters, if you provide even $1 on Patreon to us, you can get that very special episode that we recorded. It's 2 hours, and that should be dropping this Friday.
Yeah, so patreon.com/supergamerboys. Supports over there, just $1 a month, and you get the previous 2 episodes that have already come out. We have a BioShock episode, a Mass Effect 2 episode, December. So we're changing it from the last weekend of the month, or last Friday, to the first Friday. So December, this first Friday coming up here in a couple days. Last of Us, that episode will go live to our supporters, and then next month, so January, that first Friday in January, it will be Halo 4. Be talking about well, not us, I won't be on it because I don't have an Xbox, but Zetch is the main host of that show, and he loves bringing on guests, and I'm always excited to see the guests he brings on. They're usually pretty cool, so look forward to that. We kind of did that out of order, but today let's get into some housekeeping, huh? Man, it's been a couple weeks. We're a little rusty, huh?
We're a little rusty, but that's okay.
Yeah, that's okay. Today we're talking about God of War Ragnarok exclusivity. How big is Cyberpunk 2077? And Sony's being Sony. Big shrug. But first, let's give a quick shout out to our Super Gamer producer, Adrian, the Homeboy Holmes, and our Super Gamer sponsors, Bill Bird, Julie Bates, Dustin Long, and Brent Fox. Wait a second. We're missing someone. Did I delete someone's name? I deleted Dan's.
Grandma?
No, Dan.
You get rid of. Dan James.
Daniel James. Man. Oh no, I deleted.
I'm so sorry, Dan. Over on Twitter.
I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to delete you off of there. I was like,
it's because he's Welsh, huh? That's not even right, man.
I was like, I feel like I'm forgetting someone. Oh no, I'm sorry. I didn't.
Because he's not from the States. You got a little bit of like. Limey hate on you, a little bit of racism. You're
a little bit.
Okay, man. Gotta hurt.
No, yeah, sorry, Dan. Dan is also a sponsor, and they support us
a
over
very
at
good
Patreon.
one. A very good one.
He's pretty fantastic, for the most part, except for some things about him.
Dan just recently posted a great video on YouTube of him just killing it playing Bloodborne. I don't know if you've seen this video.
I did see that. Yeah, I saw it on Facebook. It was
absolutely incredible. He was just rocking it through the whole game. Well, he was getting killed a whole lot in the beginning. And then towards the end, he just was smashing it. And then it cuts back to him sitting next to his lovely fiancee, Gemma. And she actually hands him the controller. And he's like, thank you. It's pretty amazing. Very beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah. Good stuff, Dan. He's funny. He's a funny lad. He is
very funny.
But these folks support us over at patreon.com/supergamerboys, just like you can, and they get all that perk we talked about earlier with the Super Gamer Book Club. But we're going to talk more about our Patreon later on in the show. Now it is time for the mailbag, and this is where I need to go back to a previous recording and cut Zetch's voice out saying mailbag, and then just copy and paste it every time, because it'll be so much better. So if I do it tonight, it'll be right here.
Mailbag time.
But if I don't do it tonight, then you're just going to hear dead. You're going to hear dead air right there. First question comes from Astral. He writes, "What do you guys think Nintendo's future activity will be, and if you think there will be any? Thanks." So Astral's wondering if we have any insight, if we can read Mr. Nintendo's mind. Any thoughts on what might be next with Nintendo? Next gen just came out as far as Xbox Series X and PlayStation 5. What do we think's next for Nintendo?
Thanks, Astral. That's a great question. So Nintendo's been kind of quiet with everything else that's going on. Xbox and PlayStation, with the launch of their new consoles, have really dominated all of the video game news as of late. But don't write off the sleeping giant that's Nintendo. Nintendo has absolutely killed it with the Switch. Switch has been selling like crazy, and we've had all of these crazy rumors.
It's been sold out for a long time, at least earlier in COVID. Like, it was impossible to find, even still kind of in and out of stock.
Absolutely impossible to find any Switches. There's more people that are sitting around twiddling their thumbs and looking for something to keep their minds occupied, and they're going to video games. And the Switch really does fit a different market than 100%. What Xbox and PlayStation are going for. They're absolutely going for the player on the go. A lot of kids, I see Switches in a lot more homes than I do PlayStations and Xboxes right now. And that's just a lot of kids have Switches. They're very popular. My son plays the Switch and absolutely loves it. I know Garrett plays his. I would be hazarding a guess. I would be hazarding a guess. I think that we could probably be seeing the Switch be the direction that Nintendo goes and stays in. That's going to be their niche. Going with that, it can play on the big screen, and then you could also take it on the go. Now, if that means a Pro model, so be it. I mean, they've been rumored about that for a while, that they're going to maybe update it, make it have a better battery. I know they did a little bit of that a year or so ago.
Very minor. But yeah, that's my prediction is it would be, because they already have the Switch Lite, like the smaller model where the Joy-Cons don't come off and it fits in your pocket and all that stuff, smaller screen. I would not be surprised if they came out with a Pro model that didn't necessarily, it's not necessarily additional. I think it actually would replace the original model. So maybe they wouldn't call it Switch Pro, but I think the idea behind the quote unquote Switch Pro would be, just maybe having 4K output resolution, even though the games aren't in 4K, just being able to output in 4K like natively, maybe would be nice. Longer battery life, that type of thing. Like, I think that those would be like features that are added to a Switch Pro, where it's like, okay, it's substantial battery life, maybe better screen in the device, because right now it's like a 720 screen, I think, on the device, bumping up to 1080p. Why not? Like, phone screens are basically able to do better than that. Like, the Switch should be able to do that.
I'm curious, what is it going to look like as far as the sizes of games that the Switch is going to be able to have at any given point? Are they ever going to be able to have some of the large games like the Red Dead Redemptions and stuff like that come to that console, given the large files, the huge sizes?
I mean, they're already getting, like, they just got Doom Eternal or Doom Eternal just got a release date. They got Doom like a couple years ago, and they just got a release date for Doom Eternal. They already have like Elder Scrolls, like Skyrim on there. So they do have some big games. They have like the NBA 2K games. Obviously, again, like, so they even have The Witcher 3. I can't believe I forgot that. They have The Witcher 3 on there. I don't know what the file size for that is. Actually, I'm kind of curious, but I think the way they get away with having those bigger games on there is because it's the Switch. Like you're not getting the full, again, 4K version of the game. You're getting, like, I just looked it up here. So on the Switch, Witcher 3 is only 28 gig. That's pretty small. I guess I don't know what it is on PS4, let's say. It's 50 gigs, so it's literally half the size. So I think until again they come out with like a hardware that can actually handle the better graphics, I think they're fine on file size. But again, yeah, if they come out with and they're like, hey, we're able to handle the better graphics, so we have a better graphics card in there, a better processor, which would hopefully be in the next iteration of the console, that's when they need to start also including more hard drive space or, more whatever, expandable memory slots or something. But yeah, I don't know. I think you're 100% right with, they have something good with the Switch. They have their niche of the market. Xbox and PlayStation are going hard on console. PlayStation has phased out the Vita now, so they're not doing the handheld thing at the moment. You never know. They kind of phased out the PSP and then eventually brought the Vita in. So maybe they phase out the Vita and then in a couple of years, the next handheld they'll try it again, see if they can do it a third time. Third time's a charm, right? But honestly, I would say stick in your lane. Like Sony and Xbox got the consoles, let Nintendo have the handheld market, because they're not any real threat to the console stuff. And, it's just such a great supplement because there's such amazing things on the Switch. And they do it well in hardware wise, they do it well game wise. I hope they stick with it and again just iterate on the console they have and continue to just pump out sweet games. So yeah.
Thank you, Astral. That was a great question.
Yeah, good question there. Kajoma01 writes, What are some of y'all's holiday traditions? It's hard for me to say the word y'all. Like that's not something I say ever. So to like read when someone writes that, it's kind of difficult.
Well, being that I had Southern grandparents and my dad that used that word, it's basically an amalgamation mixing up two words, you and all, y'all.
I know
and
where it
so
comes
there's
from.
a way
I'm not
to
an
say
idiot.
it. Well, I think you are. I mean,
okay.
But I feel like the way that you say it sounds fake. It's like, it just doesn't sound natural.
Because it's a fake word. I'm going to say it.
Well,
it's going to sound fake.
If you're sitting around and you was all, sitting on the porch and watching the bug zapper go on and y'all was just talking about, we was playing Yahtzee a couple of days ago and, y'all left over to the house and, that's how you do it. You just drop it. Well, y'all was coming over and Mama had to clean up the kitchen. She done cleaned it up. Because, she knew y'all was coming over. So that's how you say it. You have to say it with a redneck accent. And it has to be a really good one. Wow. So if you can redneck it up a little bit, that'd be awesome. Can't do it. Because you always say like, y'all. Nobody says it like that, man.
I say it like that. That's how I say it. So if you want me to stop saying it, stop writing it in. Stop writing your questions with the word y'all. Because it's not a real word. And I can't say it good. I don't say words good. Have any fun holiday traditions? I feel like we've gotten this question in the past. Maybe we've been around for a couple years now. So of course, I'm sure we've been asked this. But it's been a while, I think, since we've answered it. Anything fun? Let's like one holiday tradition that you're looking forward to this year.
Every holiday, my family bakes special pies. They're called buttermilk pies. And so they're pretty rare. They're very sweet, lots of sugar. And, I normally do the ketogenic diet, so I don't ever eat things with sugar in them very rarely. And when I do, I know about it. It hurts. But I normally make an exception for buttermilk pie during the holiday. And so my great grandmother made it, my grandmother, my mother, and now my little brother, and then one of my nieces make the pies. And so we always do the pie. It's a big deal at my house to have the pie. You know, they bring out the pies and, you know, have that for dessert. Maybe put a little whipped cream or Cool Whip. So you get some of that on there or whatever. My niece, who is now married to a British guy, and she lives over in London now. She's, I think, yeah, something like that. She, in fact, it could be Daniel James. I don't know. Could be. Are
you related to Dan?
Yeah, I might be. I mean, we kind of are like brothers from a different mother and father. So I remember that she was young, maybe like 12 or 13, and she left her pie. She set her pie down after going and getting this like nice little piece. And again, she's like 12 or 13 years old, a blonde, blue-eyed girl, innocent as the day is long. And we're all sitting there and we're talking. Me and my 6 brothers are all hanging out. And I'm next to one of my big brothers, Ray, who's 10 years older than I am. And she sets the pie down right in front of him. And my brother Ray weighed about 500 pounds at the time. Every one of us were big. I was the smallest at 300. So we're all sitting around, and she sets the pie and goes, "Oh, I forgot my fork," and disappears to go get a fork. My brother looks down at her pie. He looks over at us and he goes, "She cannot be that stupid," and proceeds to grab her pie
Oh, no.
and eats the entire thing in one bite. Just one. I mean, he shoved the whole wedge of pie into his gullet and left just a piece of the crust and set it down. He's sitting there. He could barely swallow it. He's sitting there like working that pie down. She comes back with her fork real happy and like bright-eyed, and she's like, "Hey, what happened? What happened to my pie?" And then her dad, my brother Greg, was sitting there, and he said, "I guess that teaches you to not be stupid. Don't leave pie around fat men." You know, and so from there on, she learned you need to protect yourself, protect your pie. So she had it happen to her again a year later, because she did the same thing, set her pie and was talking to somebody and looked away from the pie. And then my brother said, "Again, I feel like I'm constantly teaching this kid." And he reached over and grabbed her pie and took a couple of huge bites and then left a little piece of the wedge. And everybody laughed about it. "Oh, Candace, you're so stupid," you know, and all this kind of stuff. "Don't leave he's 500 pounds. What do you expect?" It's like you're taunting a bull with a red cape. Stop doing it, kid, you know? So when she got married to Thomas, Thomas came from London, and a very nice young man. Honestly, very, very sweet. And so we had a talk, me and my brothers, and we said like, "Oh, we're going to mess with Tom. Okay, we are going to so mess with him." So he goes and he gets his pie. He comes to sit down, and he's sitting across from me. And as he sets his plate down with his fork in hand, this young guy legitimately held prison style over it. And he said, "Don't even think about it. She's warned me, and I will stab any one of you right now." And it was fantastic. So,
That's awesome.
And it was like, "Oh gosh, welcome to the family, Tommy." so yeah, we love our pie. That's like our big tradition, is that buttermilk pie.
Man. That's awesome. Man, for us, holiday traditions, I guess it was always just the Christmas movies, man. We'd to start watching through, there's the ones we watch every year. It's always Home Alone, it's always Elf, Christmas Story, National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. Yeah, that was always our big thing in the family. I don't have any big, funny, crazy story, but that's what I look forward to every year, is just going through that catalog of, and this year, I was telling JD before the show, I am excited, and this leads into our next question, to watch for the first time in a few years, Die Hard. Yes. So our Hophead Ed wrote in and said, "Is Die Hard a Christmas film?" And very much so, I say, yes, it is, sir.
Yes, it is.
Yes, it is. I don't care what anyone else says. It's a Christmas film. So there you have it.
I will say that even Bruce Willis went in front of a bunch of people at some awards thing, and he said, Die Hard is not a Christmas movie. Let me tell you one thing, Bruce Willis. You are wrong, good sir. You are wrong. It is a Christmas movie.
You know, you can't. He's just the actor. He didn't write it. He didn't direct it. It's not his film. You can't trust anything. He he lies for a living. You can't believe anything Bruce Willis says. So, so yes, Die Hard is in fact a Christmas film, and I can't wait to watch it this year. It's been a while, so I'm excited to see that again and just enjoy the wonderfulness that is Die Hard.
It's such a great movie. I mean, you can't help but love that movie. Like, and like, come out to the coast, have a few laughs. I mean, what a great movie. I love that movie. I say it's a Christmas flick. I can't wait to watch it myself this year. I haven't watched it in a couple of years either.
Do it, man. Do it. We can do a throwback to an old Super Gamer Boy segment, retro review. We can talk about it for half an hour. Oh man. All right. I think it's time for the nerdy nudes.
It's now time for the nerdy news.
Love it. Love it. Alrighty, this first news story comes in hot from Games Radar. It's not really hot because we do the show every 2 weeks now. It's actually from 14 days ago. So it's cold now, but you know what? I kind of like having 2 weeks to build up news stories because usually this time of year, we're struggling for news. Once it hits winter time, not a lot of stuff is happening. So every week we're scraping bottom of the barrel. So it's really nice right now. Like I got 2 weeks to pull from news. This is great.
I feel like that nerdy nudes wasn't enough. I feel like it had something missing.
Oh, okay.
I want to do it again.
Okay, do it again. Put a little more stank on it. I have an idea because I feel like it needs a sponsor. I feel like it needs a sponsor on it. So let's try that again. So you set it up, you set the bowl up. Okay.
Then
I think it's time for the nerdy nudes.
Ladies and gentlemen, brought to you by the good folks over at Nerd Dads and Setch Keenan. It's time for the nerdy news.
Oh no. We're getting a call about that one.
That's why.
Oh man, that's literally the last thing I think he would sponsor. Oh man, we love you, Zetch. Rest in peace.
Yeah, we do.
May he rest in peace.
He's dead?
Yeah. Oh man. Okay.
Yeah, he might die hearing that. So
yeah, he's like, he said what? God of War Ragnarok may not be a PlayStation 5 exclusive. PlayStation CEO Jim Ryan wouldn't confirm nor deny that the highly anticipated sequel will be cross-gen. So God of War Ragnarok may or may not be exclusive, according to a recent interview with top PlayStation executive. In an interview with The Telegraph, PlayStation CEO Jim Ryan was asked flat out if God of War Ragnarok will be a PS5 exclusive. Sorry, I've got nothing to say about that today, Ryan answers, hereby launching the speculation ships. It's very interesting to me that such like a simple sentence like, sorry, I've got nothing to say about that today, spins wildly into like, it's not a PlayStation 5 exclusive. But I mean, the fact that he didn't confirm it also is like, well, you could have just said, yeah, like it could have been like an easy one. Like, yeah, of course it is. But he didn't. The fact that he said that, we've got to speculate now. We've got to speculate. So with God of War Ragnarok set to release sometime next year, players are naturally wondering if it will be a next-gen exclusive or will release cross-gen on both PS4 and PS5. God of War Ragnarok was only announced during September's PS5 showcase, and it's unclear how long Sony Santa Monica has been working on the title. If it has been in production for some time, then a cross-gen release wouldn't be all that surprising. It goes on to say, either way, it'll likely still boast some serious upgrades from current gen to next gen, with improved graphics, load times, and should make use of the haptic feedback on the DualSense controller. With that being said, you might want to get your PS5 pre-order sorted, as God of War Ragnarok will shine on the next-gen console. And it's speculated, or at least not even speculated, they straight up said it's coming out 2021. Will that actually happen or not? We'll see. Because even the first God of War, I think, got delayed by a couple months. They pushed it a couple months. So we will see. But yeah, I kind of wanted to bring this up only because I mean, it's news, but then on top of that, I wanted to kind of share some thoughts with, I think it's so interesting when PS5 was kind of first, they first started kind of dishing out information on it back in the spring. one of the statements that was made was, here at Sony, we are all about generational leaps. Xbox had already come out and said, hey, everything that you can play on Series X will be coming out on the Xbox One, so don't worry about it. Halo Infinite, you'll be able to play on your Xbox One. This game, no matter, like, it'll be available on every console, everywhere, all the time. And so Sony, their response was like, no, we believe in generational leap. So if we're coming out with a new console, it's only going to be available on that new console. Already, they've like not been following that mantra. Miles Morales comes out. Originally, like the way they talked it up made it sound like it was a PlayStation 5 exclusive, but then, within a couple weeks, it was like, oh, it's also coming to PS4. Around that same time, the new Horizon game, Horizon Forbidden West, also has been revealed. Oh, that's coming out either 2021 or 2022, so that's still like a year or two away. They've already confirmed that that's coming out to PS4 as well. So I honestly wouldn't be surprised if this comes out to PS4. Like, I don't know what your thoughts are, but like, do you think they would actually? I guess here's my question to you. This is what I want to answer on to get some engagement with you, so it's not me talking even longer than I have to. Do you think they would lock this as a PS5 exclusive to sell consoles, or do you think they give like the 3-year grace period they've talked about and make it cross-gen where it's on PS4 and PS5? Like, how Sony do you think Sony's going to Sony on this one, if you know what I mean?
I think that they're going to be very Sony. And I think that I see a 3-year window of them continuing to put games out on both PS5 and PS4. It's unfortunate for people like me who went and got the PS5, of my own volition, all by myself, I might add. But what? Right. I just saying
with no help at all.
None. Yeah. I would like to thank me. So no. I think that it's interesting that people like me who picked up the PS5, that those graphical upgrades and everything else like that, one of the things that we're concerned with like Xbox is that it's taking so long for like the Cyberpunk 2077 game because they're having them come out on the older systems. They're taxing those older systems, and that's creating an issue where they're having to downgrade that thing for it to be able to play on the older systems. It would be nice. Wait until in another 2 or 3 years when they really start to figure out what these new consoles are capable of. And we start really seeing that come to fruition with the games that we buy, that are exclusivity on the consoles that are the new ones.
So you think it will be on both then? You think it'll be a PS4 and PS5 split thing?
Absolutely. I think that's going to continue to be the goal over the next few years. I think they're going to keep doing that. There's too many PS4s that are out there. I realized that it would help them sell PS5s if they had these great games and didn't have them available on PS4. But there's too many people who own PS4s or PS4 Pros who they're not serving their fan base if they're not still providing those top shelf games that are going to continue coming out over the next few years.
Yeah. So they have already come out and said that their plan is to have like a 3-year window where they're slowly switching things over to PS5. But that was more pertaining to third-party stuff. At least that's what they said. Again, they say a lot of things. But I guess for me, I wouldn't be surprised either way because I could totally see, like, yeah, it is the first 3 years. Let's put it out on both. But God of War 2, God of War Ragnarok, that's the kind of game that would sell so many PS5 consoles. Like, and I already said that. Like, okay, I'm fine with not getting a PS5 here at launch. And I've already said, like, I would love to buy if they have like a special edition console that comes out bundled with God of War Ragnarok next year. Like if next November, they're like, hey, here's a limited edition console, like with a cool skin and stuff on it. And it comes with the game. Like, yeah, I would 100% buy that. And I probably will. Like that's my goal. Like I got my PC this year, and next year I'll save up and I'm hoping to get a PS5 at some point. Cause at that point too, there'll hopefully be a lot more games. Because at launch here, there's not much for you, right? Like you're playing Spider-Man, and there's a couple other games that aren't really your jam, so you're not interested in them.
Oh, like Valhalla.
Well, yeah, that, or I'm even thinking like as far as PlayStation exclusives, like Demon Souls. You're not going to play Demon Souls. You're not going to play Sackboy's Adventure, that type of thing. So I'm almost leaning towards, I think they do lock it as a, even though he didn't say it in the interview here, I think they end up coming out and saying, hey, no, it's going to be PS5 only because you're right. It doesn't necessarily support the fan base, but again, it's Sony we're talking about. Sure. Like sometimes they do things that piss people off, but inevitably all the people that bicker and put up a stink, they always come around and like end up just going to the next thing. Like Sony also has that fan base that they get ticked off very easily, but they're such loyal followers, they'll do anything Sony says. And I say that as as one of those people. Like Sony does things, I'm like, that sucks. Oh well. Like move like and I hate it, but I'm just gonna move on with my life. So I don't know.
Like you said, you want to play that game Ragnarok so badly, and I mean you're willing to buy that system anyway. I mean you're going to want to get it eventually anyway.
Right.
But especially if that game comes out and you can't play it anywhere else. I know you, and I know how much you love the original God of War, and so I think that it would be really smart on their part to lock it down and say it's just PS5 because they will sell a lot of systems. Already they've sold a lot of systems. People are having a hard time finding systems. In fact, we know one guy who's got 2 of them. You know?
So that was a new story I didn't pick up. It just came out today or over the weekend, I think. But this is like one of the best console launches ever for Sony, at least in the UK. I didn't see numbers for US, but in the UK, this is one of the best console launches ever. And all over the world, like they're just like, totally sold out, which is normal. But it's just interesting, like how like Xbox even put out, Xbox was saying it's one of the biggest console launches for them. Sony's like, hey, it's one of the biggest console launches for us. It's just so crazy. Like it's hype right now. Everyone's locked at home. We talked about this a little bit earlier. Everyone's locked home because of COVID, and they want to play some awesome new games and escape for a little bit. And it's crazy. Like it's impossible to find a PlayStation, Xbox, whatever.
I realize that it's not really related, but are you aware of, have they released the information on how many consoles have been sold, like the Series X and Series S versus PS5 and the PS5 Digital Edition?
Let me see.
I'm just curious because I know at one point we had an impression that, PS5 is going to kill it. Then when stuff started coming out, we realized that, wow, Xbox is just doing a phenomenal job with everything they're putting out there for this system and how they're pushing Game Pass and the value that they're putting forward. But I would almost say that PS5, I don't know how they're doing it, is probably in the lead right now with systems sold, if I was just to hazard a guess.
Yeah, so I'm finding... so at this point, it's just mostly estimated figures. So here's an article from 4 days ago from CBR.com. PS5 launch sales doubled the Xbox Series X and S. So you're correct about them selling more. According to data from VG Charts, the PS5 sold an estimated 2.1 to 2.5 million units worldwide across the first 2 days of its launch. That's just the first 2 days. For comparison, the Xbox Series X and S, so combined, sold an estimated 1.1 to 1.4 million units worldwide. And breaking down the sales figures, the report shows that PS5 sold between 95,000 to 110,000 units in Canada, 75,000 units in Mexico, 60,000 units in Australia and New Zealand, 120,000 units in Japan, and 900,000 in Europe and other regions. So Sony is killing on sales. I don't know what, like, compared to like PS4 launch sales. I wonder how that was. Yeah, I don't know. It's too hard to find those numbers on the fly here, but sales are pretty good. Sales are killing it.
It's not a slight on Xbox because
no, not at all. Because even Xbox came out and said, even Xbox came out and said, like, this is one of our biggest launches too, which is awesome because, so 360 was a great generation. And, in the long run, they sold a lot of units. It just wasn't done at launch. Again, we're talking about launch numbers, not overall. Xbox One just kind of came out and had hiccup at the start, and even, it was a long rolling start there. So it's really exciting actually for Xbox to like right off the gate have like, boom, these major sales. And, we'll see as more stock comes in, hopefully be able to maintain that. And who knows, either stay on par or surpass the PlayStation and be pretty sweet. So yeah, that's kind of what that looks like. But we'll see. Going back to the God of War Ragnarok thing, we'll see what happens next year. I'm sure we'll talk about it here on the show once we know for sure. But yeah, at this point, I wouldn't be surprised either way. But again, Sony the way they are, I would not be at all like, what? How could they do that? Like, I wouldn't be surprised if they'd lock it behind a PS5. So we'll have to wait and see. Put it on the board. Next news story. Cyberpunk 2077 dev claims they've played 175 hours and still not finished. Crazy. Cyberpunk 2077 developer took to social media earlier, and this was from 6 days ago, to reveal how their latest playthrough of the upcoming open world RPG is going, and they've sunk 175 hours into Night City without completing the game. Cyberpunk 2077 releases on December 10th, after a series of delays saw it miss its April target by quite some margin, but anticipation for the game hasn't suffered, and it remains the biggest release of the holiday season. The build-up to the launch is stopped and started a little whenever its release date was delayed, but pushing it back has also given consumers more opportunities to analyze the information they've been given, not to mention the many showcases CD Projekt Red has provided to demonstrate what Cyberpunk will look like. So yeah, it's not much more to that news story other than Cyberpunk's a pretty huge game, huh? Like,
yes.
To pump 175 hours into it and still not be done with it?
That's
like,
nearly twice as much as Red Dead Redemption 2. And I'm curious, in the article, is that just the main campaign, or does that also include side missions? And...
So that obviously would include side missions, I assume. Like, there's no way the main story is 175 hours, or else no one's going to buy this game. Mm-hmm. So just for reference, I looked up on the website how long to beat. I use this website a lot, especially if I'm thinking about, trying to figure out if I can actually play and beat a game. I use this site pretty often. So I just typed in Witcher 3. So that was the last game that CD Projekt Red had put out. The main story for Witcher 3 Wild Hunt was 51 and a half hours. But if you did a completionist run, which is all the side quests and everything, it was 172 hours. So Cyberpunk 2077, he's at 175 hours, and he still hasn't finished the main campaign. So it's huge. Like, everyone talking about how big Witcher 3 was and how much there is to do in Witcher 3. Cyberpunk is, from what we can tell, exponentially bigger. I guess that's insane. That blows my mind. So to do a completionist run, every single side quest in Witcher 3 was 170. So it came in under the time that they're already at with Cyberpunk. So yeah.
I realize that I'm probably like the lone wolf in on a video game podcast that talks about that. Who the hell has that many hours to put into one game? That's just insane to me. I don't have a couple of hours to put into a game on any given week, really. Although I have been having a lot more time as of late on the PS5. But I sure don't have 175 hours to put into anything.
Yeah. I think, and a lot of that, though, is it's obviously over time. Because, I don't know, I think about it, like, I think back to the days when on my Xbox 360 playing Fallout 3. Fallout 3 and like Fallout New Vegas, a couple of my favorite games of all time, at least in that time of my life. I loved them, played them to death. I would say I easily probably had like 200-300 hours into the thing. But for me, like, that was over the span of a couple years. Like, it's not something you do in a month or a week. I mean, people do it, I guess. I take that back. When Zelda Breath of the Wild came out on Switch, people were getting up there. Like, I put like 200-300 hours in the first like month or something. Like, people just went ham on that Legend of Zelda game. But even still, like, yeah, now looking back now, like I envy my younger self now that I'm a dad, a husband, 2 kids. I know about that time. I'm like, man, I wish I could just sit down and play, 175 hours of Cyberpunk. Because now, at the rate I play games now, it'll probably take me the next 15 years. And by then it'll be old news. It'll be crappy graphics. My kids will make fun of me. You still play that garbage?
But you know what? I still want to try. I would love to give it a try because Cyberpunk looks so incredible, and it is the holiday game that like everybody wants. As long as it comes out during the holiday. So
yeah, we'll see. We'll see if they actually hit that target. Obviously nothing's been confirmed. And it's not from any reliable sources, but I have heard and seen different sources online, again, not reliable, saying there might possibly be another delay. But I can't imagine. They've already delayed it, 3 times, maybe 4 times now? I always forget if it's 3 or 4. Either way, if they were to delay it one more time, I feel like people would just straight up like riot. Like they can't delay it again. They already delayed it. So the last time they delayed it was literally like, a week after they put out a tweet saying, oh, we're almost done with the game. We're not going to delay. There's no more delays. It's coming out. It'll be out in November. And then like a week later, like, hey, that tweet. Yeah, sorry, guys. So.
Well, keep in mind, there's investors. There's all kinds of X factors. I mean, you can't keep saying that we have to.
At some point, they actually have to release it, or else people are like, we want our money back. So
that's kind of what happened.
You're right.
It's kind of what happened to Days Gone. Is Days Gone was having a lot of issues and just got rushed in. And I don't know if they've had things patched up or not, but they were getting rushed and delivered a game that was subpar and wasn't completed. I know I hate on it a lot, but because there was a lot of expectation. So I think that according to all knowledge on Cyberpunk 2077, the game is completely finished. So that shouldn't be an issue.
Right. It's polishing. It's a lot of polish right now.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see if all that polish shines through on December 10th. Is that what they just said? I already pre-ordered it on Steam because at that point I had a computer that could run it with ray tracing. Now who knows? I really hope I have a computer by December 10th. Oh man, now that I'm looking at a calendar, it might not happen. Well, it's really sad. I won't be able to play Cyberpunk at launch. We'll see. Everyone just put your good feelings out there, prayers, whatever it is you want to, let's see if we can get this computer home to daddy. Because I really want to play Cyberpunk when it comes out on PC. Next news story here. This one, I'm going to kind of rely on you a little bit because you actually have a PS5 here. I thought this was very interesting. Sony is not hearing PS5 storage complaints, says PlayStation CEO. We were just talking about Jim Ryan previously in an article with God of War Ragnarok. Well, in another interview, he mentions, speaking to The Telegraph, that Jim Ryan was asked about whether Sony regarded the limited space on the PS5 currently as a problem, to which the CEO explained that the company hadn't noticed an outcry from customers. We're not hearing that, Ryan explained. We'll obviously watch what happens as people unbox their PlayStations and start to use them. We think we'll be okay. We obviously are able to monitor hard drive usage on the PS4 microscopic. I think that's supposed to be PS5. On the PS5 microscopically, and everything that we saw there indicates that we should be fine. So he's apparently Sony's not hearing, quote unquote, not hearing, or they don't want to hear. It's one of these where they're putting their hands over their ears. Mm-hmm. So the PlayStation 5 ships with a custom 825 gigabyte solid state drive, but it only has 667 gigs accessible to players for game installs, which wouldn't typically be an issue because you can plug in an external hard drive. But the catch with PlayStation 5 is you can't install PlayStation 5 titles on the external hard drive. You can only install PlayStation 5 titles on the main solid state. So yeah, I know you don't have a ton of PS5 games. You only have the one, honestly, or two. You have Astro's Playroom and Spider-Man's Miles Morales. But is that a problem, or are you worried about that being a problem at this point?
I already had a problem. I already had an issue where I downloaded some of the PS Plus collection. So One of the things is the PS Plus collection. I can't remember how many games it is, 15,
it's
20.
It's like 20 or something like that. It's quite a few,
it's like, I think 20 of the best PS4 titles. You're talking God of War, Days Gone, a lot of games like that. And I went through and started downloading some. I think Uncharted: A Thief's End was one of them, I believe.
Yeah.
So I went through and downloaded several of them that I hadn't already had, which I had a good amount of them. But why not? If they're giving them to me as part of the PS Plus collection. So I'm downloading those things, and there were a couple of things that I had to take off right away. I also put on like Jack and Daxter for the kids.
Nice.
But there was a couple of games that I put on, and I went to go put another game on, and I'm like, already I don't have room. Wow. I'm really surprised at Sony at not putting a 1 terabyte in the PS5. I'm kind of really shocked by that. I thought that was kind of the standard. I do have an external hard drive that I transferred over from my PS4, and that's a 4 terabyte.
Yeah, which you can technically use that as long as it's not a PS5 game. So like all those like PlayStation Collection games, you could probably actually put those on the external. Yeah,
they're all fine.
I imagine.
No, you can't. You can't.
But it's still so bizarre that you can't even, because even with the Xbox, we talked about a couple weeks ago. So you can't play Xbox Series X games off an external hard drive, but you can save them on there. And then when you want to play them, you just copy and paste them over to the solid states, and you can play them. And then when you're done, you just, put it back on the external. That way it's just out of the way. But then you don't have to re-download it from the internet. Like transferring over a cable is way faster than transferring through the internet, especially if you have crappy Wi-Fi. So, man, it's crazy to hear that you're already having troubles. Like that's actually surprising to me. I didn't realize that you'd have hit that road, at least initially.
After I put the external hard drive from my PS4 on, then it wasn't a problem.
Yeah.
I just hadn't put it in right away because I have that 4 terabyte thing. So, and you can actually transfer.
But still, with like if you had a 1 terabyte hard drive, that wouldn't be an issue. Like that shouldn't be an issue if you have like a 1 terabyte or more. Because even the Xbox has a 1 terabyte. Granted, you don't get all of that. It's maybe actually like 800 gig, but every gig counts. Like the size of games nowadays, like every gig really does count.
Oh, what game was it we were just talking about that had absolutely massive
Call of Duty.
Is it Call of Duty?
Is like up to like 150 gig if once with all the updates and the campaign and everything. Like it's insane.
Yeah.
So if you have a 600 gig hard drive, well, that's now you're down to like a 500 gig hard drive, which most games are anywhere from 60 to 80 gig. Okay, so you can fit five more games on there, and then you're done.
So again, the only option here is just, I'm just trying to clarify. The only option is to get a brand new external hard drive or use the one that I have, versus getting another SSD that is larger. I mean, is that a possibility?
Yeah. So. And that's kind of what this story is alluding to, is on the PlayStation 4, you could actually slide the hard drive out of it and like purchase a new one online, slide it back in. Like I did that for a while. I had a 2 terabyte in mine. I had a PS4 Pro that came with a 1 terabyte, and I upgraded to 2 terabyte. Worked great. So the PlayStation at launch, the PS5 doesn't support that. Or at least they're not releasing what hard drives are supported. Because there's even a little slot. I don't know if you've dug around too much in your console, but you can actually pop one of those panels off, and there's a little slot where you're supposed to be able to slide in a second solid state drive. So you technically have 2 solid states in there, and you could have your external. But they're not.
I'm afraid of touching it. I just look at it lovingly. I don't even play it very much. I just stare at it like a lot.
But they. At launch, they said it's not working currently, and they'll unlock it at a future firmware update. And then they also haven't even released a list of what hard drives are supported. So it's a really crappy situation that Sony's doing there. It's, Sony being Sony doing their thing where they're just like, nah, we don't, quote unquote, hear it. We don't hear any issues. We don't hear any complaining. So we're not going to rush to fix it, when that's all everyone's talking about is Like they're talking about all the positive, amazing things about the PlayStation, but I also hear a lot of people like, but the hard drives, you only get like 600 gig, 500 gig. Like it's kind of crappy. So, yeah, well, let's just hit this last news story real quick. Nothing too crazy about this one, but it is exciting. All the same. New James Bond game coming from Hitman developers. That's right. Project 007, they're calling it right now. It's going to be coming from Hitman developer IO Interactive. They announced it on, I believe it was last Thursday, the 19th. It's a new game starring James Bond that will tell the British Secret Service operative's origin story. Project 007 will feature a wholly original Bond story exclusively as a video game, one in which players must earn their 00 status, the studio says in a news release. They released a teaser trailer, it's just a few seconds long, but IO gave a few more details on the website for Project 007, hiccup there, which the studio noted is a working title, so it might have a different game when it actually comes out. But yeah, the last, let me see here, it even says the last 007 game we've gotten was created by EA, and it was in 2004. Everything or Nothing. So, actually, no, I take that back. There were some licensed games from Activision for the Daniel Craig movies. There's 007 Quantum of Solace in 2008. So, it's been a while since we've had a 007 game. What are your thoughts on this? Do you have experience playing, the classic that is GoldenEye? Do you remember playing that on Nintendo 64 at all?
I actually never played that on the 64. I've never played a Nintendo 64 at all. But I remember that was a very, very popular game and that people still talk about it really lovingly, but I've never actually seen it. I've never actually seen any of the James Bond movies.
Oh, okay.
Never.
Okay. Well, interesting. Very interesting. I'll be honest, I have not watched any of the classic ones, but I love the Daniel Craig ones. Most of them. There's a couple of them that are fine. But I actually really enjoy Daniel Craig as 007. Casino Royale is freaking fantastic. Love that movie. But this is completely disconnected from the movies, which is kind of neat. Like it's its own original story, own original kind of like how their James Bond is getting 00 status. And honestly, I think IO Interactive is the perfect people to play it. Like if you've ever played any of the Hitman games, have you played any of the new Hitman games?
Yeah, I have one of the Hitman games that I think was a PS Plus exclusive. Last year.
Yeah. Basically, it's like it feels like a 007 game already. Like he has all the gadgets and gizmos, and uses disguises, and he's getting like it's 007 just without the licensing. So I'm excited to see what they pump out. Like it's the perfect developer. They're primed for this. They're ready for this. And they're currently finishing up Hitman 3, which is really exciting. It looks like an intense game. And yeah, hopefully in the next couple years, we'll keep getting these updates on Project 007. Alrighty, guys, I think it is time for our Patreon ad break. Okay, guys, well, here we are in the ad break, your favorite part of the show. This is where I'm going to talk about patreon.com/supergamerboys. You can support us over there at a few different levels, and you can get some different perks at those levels. Starting at level 1, I don't remember the names. I have some funny, goofy, original names, I came up with on Patreon. We'll stay our $1 level, $1 each month. You get our Patreon exclusive episodes early and ad-free. So that's like our Super Gamer Book Club and our regular podcast episodes, which come out, every 2 weeks now. You'll get those early and ad-free. So we record on Monday nights. You'll get a notification Monday night. You'll probably get an email from Patreon saying, hey, there's a new episode out. And if you actually add our podcast feed to your regular podcast listener, then it'll automatically download the episode for you. So support us at $1 a month. You can get episodes early, and without this section, this is what we consider ads. This, and then also, I know at the beginning and end of the show, normally it plays an ad for other shows in our podcast network. We're part of the HP the Video Game Podcast Network. You won't get those ads either. You'll just get straight audio, my mouth to your ears, and just $1 a month, and that little bit helps a ton. $5 a month.
Why is it you're always trying to put your mouth on my ear, dude? Like I feel like I mean, we're partners, man, but like, I just think it's going above it. And I appreciate the Patreon
right?
supporters, but no, friends do not do that, Garrett, for the last time.
I don't know. Well,
if they're really good friends, but like, are we really that close?
My last friend told me that, so I didn't like it at first either, but he told me everyone did it, so. Maybe I think I need to
you need to find new friends, man.
I think I need to find new friends. $5 a month, you can support us over there, and you get the show notes as well. Usually a couple days before we record, I'll send out the copy of the show notes. You can look it over, see what news stories we're going to be talking about. And if you want to leave your own questions, comments, concerns, your 2 cents, what games you've been playing, whatever it is, write it on there, and I'll share it on the show. I love getting feedback on there. It doesn't happen often, but when it does, I always try to incorporate that into the show. So, go ahead and support us at $5 a month for that. $10, now you're a sponsor. That's our sponsor level. And you get shout outs on the show, just like the sponsors I shouted out earlier. And as well as all the previous perks, early episodes, show notes. And then our top dog tier, you are a Patreon producer, just like Adrian, the Homeboy Holmes. And you get all those previous perks. Plus, you get to pitch segments on the show. You get to be on the show once in a while. He's guested on the show. He's killer. Love having him around. And you basically pay to be our friend. How about that?
Oh my gosh. I've been paying other people to be my friends for years. It's so neat to have it the other direction.
Yeah. I mean, although I was friends with Adrian before. Adrian's a pretty cool dude. So again, thank you, Adrian, for supporting us. He doesn't hear this part because he supports us on Patreon, but he's pretty killer for doing that and for supporting us and all you guys, all the sponsors and all of you, even at the $5, $1 level. We love you all. Thank you for your support. Thank you for the love. And if you want to join in on the family, go over to patreon.com/supergamerboys, and you too can join the SGB family. And now let's get back to the show. All right, it is time for What You Playing. JJ, I want to hear from you
this time around,
because you have a PlayStation 5.
Yes, and this time around, I have been playing, and I've been playing a lot, dude. So it's been phenomenal. We just had the 40 weekend. I didn't get to do it every day, but I picked up a sweet copy, a PS5 copy of Miles Morales, Spider-Man Miles Morales, and
with no help at all. Just
none. Again, all me, like always, dude. I'm like a one-man show. Except for when you're on the show, and then it's like you and I. So it's technically two guys. Dude, honestly, what an incredible game, dude. Insomniac kicked it out of the park with Miles Morales. The story is fantastic. The graphics are excellent. The vistas are just incredible. I'm having such a fun time with this game. It's everything that I hoped it would be. And I knew that I loved Spider-Man, the one from a couple of years ago that Insomniac did.
For some reason, I distinctly remember you knocking it for
okay, all right. I didn't knock it. I feel like we have to keep having this discussion here. All I said was, after having played this, it feels just like when I played Arkham Knight and not Arkham Knight, I'm sorry, Arkham Asylum and whatever the other Batman game was. They have a very, very similar fighting style.
But that's not all you said. You also said it felt very samey.
Did I really say that?
I feel like I remember you saying that.
Saying it like that. I really don't recall saying it like that. So this game doesn't feel like Batman at all. It feels like Spider-Man.
Okay.
It feels like an updated Spider-Man, So it's really incredible. And I know you don't have a PS5, but I really hope that I can have you come over and play it sometime. I'll even let you come into the house. I know, I've told you, you're not allowed to come in my home. But,
yeah.
I
just figured I'd have to watch through the window, but that'd be great if I can at least stand on the door jamb, maybe just over your doorway and play from there.
I might even let you sit on a hard wooden chair, and you can sit right there and watch me while I play. I won't let you actually touch my DualSense because I am still having a hard time getting the fingerprints off of it from the last time you grubby, touched it, rubbed it, and whatever.
I want to use a DualSense, so that's what everyone's talking about. You're talking about it.
Amazing.
Dan was on the show last time.
Yeah.
Everyone's just talking about how awesome the DualSense is.
That's the thing that stands out the most. Let me just honestly let me say that is the thing that stands out the most about the PS5 is that DualSense. That controller is far and away the best controller out there. It feels so perfect. You don't have the toggles in the wrong positions, one up here, one down here. They're in the perfect position.
Now you're starting fights.
And that thought process is brought to you by the good people over at Nerd Dads. Zech Keenan brought that to you. Thank you so very much.
As soon as you started talking about the analog sticks, I can hear Zech already yelling at his radio in his car right now. I know he does that because he told us he does that. The last time he was on an episode that he wasn't on, he's listening right now and he's screaming at his radio, "No, JJ, no, that's not right."
Here's the deal. We're recording this live. We can't hear you, Zech. So how does it feel to be wrong? How does it feel to be wrong? I don't know because I'm never wrong, personally.
We're hearing about this for sure. Thank you for sponsoring this segment, though, Zech. Yeah, well, I mean, even just the triggers, though, the adaptive triggers, that's all I've heard about is the haptic feedback and the adaptive triggers. So how much in Spider-Man does that come through? Are you noticing that a lot? Are the triggers doing their little clicky clacky flippy-do resistance stuff? Do you feel anything with the haptic feedback, or is it just kind of
absolutely
feels whatever?
It's the haptic feedback is fantastic. It feels so realistic. When you're throwing a web, you're feeling it shoot out. I mean, you have this sense of it shooting out from you. And when you're getting hit, it's not just a whir of a little motor like the dual shock from the PS4. Right. You have a little motor like a buzz or something like that.
Yeah.
This doesn't feel like that at all. This feels so realistic, the way that it reacts in your hand. It's just, and I know with Astro's Playroom, there was a whole lot of as you're pulling, you're feeling the sensation of the tugging. Now, again, I haven't used any of the triggers as far as shooting because I haven't come in contact with any shooting yet in the games I'm playing.
But you have to use the triggers for shooting, slinging webs. How does that feel? Does it feel springy or something to it? Is there any tension to the triggers? I
don't feel any. I mean, I'm using those to shoot the webs back and forth, the R2 button primarily. Yeah. I'm not sensing any tension on that or anything like that. Some of the things that have been described about, pulling a bow. They always talk about pulling a bow and how it feels very realistic.
Yeah.
And how
or the trigger of a gun and stuff like that. Yeah.
I am not feeling any of that in the web shooting so far.
Interesting.
So I'm sure that'll be something that probably stands out a little more in a game that's more with artillery and stuff like that.
Right. Okay. Cool, man. I'm so excited for you. I want to play so bad. All my friends now have them, and originally I was fine with it. I'm it's fine. I don't need next gen. I'm getting a new computer. My laptop's dying. I'll just invest in this. I need this. Unfortunately for my situation, it couldn't have been any other way because, well, I needed the computer for work and stuff too. But now that, now that I don't have that and I don't have next gen, I'm kind of feeling so left out. I can't do anything. I can't play my next gen games on my PC. Can't play them next gen on the console. But I am happy for you and for Nate, for Dan, for Zech. He has a Series X. You guys are, I'm excited for you guys. I'm glad you're all having fun and enjoying the next gen, and glad you guys are on at least to talk about it on the show. Because it would be a bummer if we couldn't talk about next gen. So it's cool to hear those stories. Now, actually, one last thing about Miles Morales. I heard you previously. You told me you're having issues with a bug, which I did some research on, and apparently it's worldwide. Everyone's having issue with this bug. and I found out a fix for it, but I was curious if you're still having that issue where it would like freeze.
I haven't had that issue.
Okay. They must have patched it out then, because what I heard is it had something to do with putting the console to sleep. So the way to fix it is when you're done playing, you have to shut the console down completely. When you put it just in rest mode or sleep mode, your PS5, that's what was causing that bug where you'd be going and it would just like freeze and, glitch out and you'd have to restart the console.
Yes. And that's exactly what would happen. That's the kind of like the shaky, horrible bug. And so I thought it was something wrong with my console. I was really concerned, but that stopped after a couple of days.
So they must have patched it out then, because I was doing some research and I found people like, for some reason it's tied to rest mode. So people were saying in order to fix it, just shut down your PS5 every time you're done playing.
I always shut it down into rest mode.
Well, no, not rest mode, like shut it down completely, because rest mode is just like, it's just like a sleep. But
right, I'm saying I always just put it into rest mode. I never actually shut it off.
Right. Okay. So
I didn't realize that's a good thing to do.
Well, it's if you were continuing to have that issue, that would be a good thing to do. But since the issue's fixed, then you're fine. I think just to keep using rest mode, unless you're worried about power consumption in your home. If you want to keep the electric bill down, I guess. I
don't pay my bills.
That's what I figured. Cool. I've been playing a couple games. I got super back into Hades. Loving that game. I still have not. So I made it to the second world a little bit, but I've said this time and time again, I'm not a good gamer. So that's the type of game where you either have to be good or you just have to grind long enough to get good enough gear and upgrades. And so I struggle sometimes still to beat like the final boss in that first section, where I feel like by now I should have been able to, like, I can beat her sometimes, but then I only get like 1 or 2 rooms into the second world, whatever you want to call it. And then I die. Like I'm not a good gamer, but I'm still so in love with it. I love the upgrades. I love everything about it. I've already raved about it. Nate's raved about it. So go buy Hades, please, for the love of God. Go buy Hades. It's such a good game. The other game I kind of wanted to briefly talk about, it's a very, very, very strange game. I don't even know how to fully explain it. I have their itch.io page here. It's also on Steam. That's actually where I got it from. Actually, let me just bring up the... Oh, bless you. I'm going to bring up the Steam store page so I can read that description here, because it's very interesting. So it's called Happy's Humble Burger Farm. This is from a developer called Scythe Dev Team. And right now it's an alpha. It's a playable teaser. So it's just to kind of get you into the world. They're still testing things out. They're still developing things. They're updating this alpha. So it says the award-winning burger simulation is back and tastier than ever. Return to Happy's Humble in the newest iteration of Happy's Humble's fast food franchise, Happy's Humble Burger Farm, where you're tasked with maintaining a restaurant and finding the meaning of life itself. So it's a fast food like restaurant simulator, straight up. Like people come up, give their orders. Okay, I want a cheeseburger and chicken nuggets and fries and a shake. And you have to go get those things, order them, bring them to the front. But on top of that, there's also weird things that happen around the restaurant. So it's psychological horror is one of the tags on Steam, where basically while you're doing things in the world will like glitch out or like be a little weird or off or funny. Like all of a sudden you look up at a sign and it'll like flash and like say something else like menacing, like you're gonna die, and then like flash back and be like, oh, like 2 for $5 deal, Happy's Humble Burger Farm. You're like, wait a second, what? Like the sign just changed. Or if you get an order wrong too many times, the cow, which is like the mascot of the fast food place, will come to life and chase you around the restaurant and kill you if he gets a hold of you. And
why have I never heard of this game before? This sounds amazing.
It's very, very bizarre, but the whole thing is like, I don't know. I actually don't want to spoil too much about it, because it's very interesting where the story goes. But yeah, it's very creepy, like the art and everything, and the ambiance, the feel, the whole game, the stink of the game. Very, very creepy. Very, very just like on edge the whole time, like looking over your shoulder, like, okay, like when's something gonna happen? I know something's gonna happen. When is it gonna happen? And yeah, it's a very, very fun and terrifying game. And it's free. So go to Steam and pick that up. Happy's Humble Burger Farm, and give that a shot. Like I said, it's early access, playable teaser. It's not the full game, but yeah, it's pretty intense. So go check that one out. I had originally seen a little bit of a playthrough from Jacksepticeye. He's a YouTuber. I watch a lot of his videos lately. I've been getting into his content, and he did a playthrough, and he played the original version. So they've updated it since then. So the graphics are different. Originally, it had like PlayStation 1 style graphics though, which was super awesome. So like intentionally looked like it straight up like a PS1 game, like really crappy, horrible graphics, which almost made it like creepier because it's kind of, you know, PlayStation 1 was like kind of dark and dingy, and like everything looked dirty and gross, even if it wasn't, just because that's how like the sprites and everything were created. And so it had a very dark and creepy look anyways, like Silent Hill, Resident Evil, it's kind of look to it. But it's a fast food burger simulator that's creepy. So it's got a huge graphical upgrade on Steam. It looks completely different now, but it still has that same feel. So yeah, go check that one out if you're interested in anything like creepy, scary, horror, that type of thing. It's pretty interesting where it goes. But yeah. All right. Well, that's it for this week's episode. Thank you guys so much for listening to our show. Thanks for sticking with us. I know it's been kind of weird the last couple of weeks. We're just getting into this new schedule. I kind of fell through on the streams. I'm sorry. As soon as we can get things figured out, I hope to get back to streaming. I might try to push my laptop next week to stream. Again, it won't be a PC game because it can't handle doing both. But if I can get the capture card going and my computer doesn't blow up, then maybe I'll stream like Hades or something on Switch, or, you know, something like that. So we'll see. You can find us over at patreon.com/supergamerboys. Support us over there. Just like, those sponsors earlier in the show, our Patreon producer. If you want to be cool like them, get shout outs on the show or get the sweet perks. Remember, just $1 a month. You can get all the episodes early and ad free, as well as those exclusive Super Gamer Book Club episodes. It's an exclusive show to our Patreon supporters. You can buy our merch over at sgbstore.com. That's right. I bought a new domain, sgbstore.com.
Nice.
That's so much easier to remember, huh? I mean, supergamerboys.com/store. It's just a mouthful to say. But now you can just be like, sgbstore.com. Go check it out.
Nice.
All of our merch is over there. You can rate and review us over on iTunes or wherever you get our podcast from. That would be extremely helpful. Very much appreciated. If you're watching on YouTube, click the subscribe button, ring that bell, smash that like button, leave a comment, whatever it takes. That way our show can get to the masses. The more interaction on our episode, the more people will find it in the search feeds. Be very helpful and very much appreciated. You can find us during the week at supergamerboys.com, Twitter and Instagram at supergamerboys, facebook.com/supergamerboys. I am on Twitter and Instagram at gmorlang. JJ is on Twitter and Instagram at
JJ Purdom.
And Zetch is on those social media feeds at NerdDadZetch. Thank you so much to Star Andrews for our logo. Check her out on Instagram at Ground Floor Graphics and facebook.com/Ground Floor Graphics. That's all I have.
All right. Well, again, thank you guys so much. Garrett, thank you for all the hard work that you did putting in one hell of an episode. And thank you, the people who listen to our show. And thank you, Zetch Keenan, for sponsoring the Nerdy Nudes this week, and for also sponsoring the fact that the DualSense is the superior controller over any Xbox controller. For Garrett Morlang, I'm JJ Purdom. We are the Super Gamer Boys.
And we will catch you on the flippity flop.
He's just going to be so pissed. I know he's going to be talking trash on it.
So
I can't wait. I'm so excited.
So good.